Okay, today is March 19th, and so far for my OS project, I have a Google Doc done. And I did this first because I kind of wanted to get a visual identity for my OS before I went into designing any sort of layout sketches. So, first of all, I made a logo in Adobe Illustrator, and I made three different variants of it just to have. I have a black version, I also have a white version, and then I have one with a gradient as well, depending on what I would need it for. I have my colors put into the Google Doc for future reference. I have Futura listed as a font because I think Futura is a very sleek looking font, and I want my OS to be sort of sleek and modern. I also made two user profiles that I could see myself using potentially as placeholder characters eventually in the Adobe XD files. So Alex Smith is a male college student who studies computer science, but he wants a desktop that can be used for homework and also powerful enough to run video games. And then Natalie Thomas is a live streamer who's 27. She's interested in first-person shooter games and she wants to be able to efficiently live stream from her game console instead of using a separate recording software. So my OS is actually based a lot off of my own sort of computer build. Um, the Phoenix logo is based off of the Asus logo, which is a sort of graphics card I have. Whenever I load into my computer, that's the first thing I see even before the Windows logo. And I wanted to make some sort of operating system that is meant to be like a gaming operating system, but it is also sleek, modern, and efficient and easy to use. So I started off by making four wireframe sketches in Photoshop. I started off by doing the login and loading screens because I just think that they're a little easier to start off with, and I wanted to get consistent look across all four of them. So I started off with the desktop sketch. I have a mobile sketch, then the tablet, and then the console, which is more simplistic because I looked at Nintendo Switch and PlayStation for inspiration, and I noticed that they tend to be more simple than a desktop or a phone. They normally just have like the logo in the center of the screen, so that's what I decided to go with. Eventually, as I move on to making fully fleshed out mockups for these, I will add color, I will add icons, and then eventually, as those are finished, I will move on to making them in Adobe XD. But like I said, these are just the pre-login and loading screens, and eventually I will be doing the remainder all in Photoshop. Today is April 1st, and so far in my OS project, I have all of my wireframe sketches complete, along with my Google Doc that I showed previously. I have all four screens required for the four different devices. So, to begin, here is my desktop setup. I kind of took my favorite aspects of both Windows and Mac computers and combined them for this. For example, the pre-login is heavily influenced off of Mac, and then the logged in screen is a little bit of both. As you can see with the icons in the center right here, that's a Mac influence. For my application open, this is intended to be a very rough design of a music application. I'm not sure if I'm going to use Spotify or create an original app. I'm kind of leaning towards Spotify, but I will see. Um, and then between applications, I took inspiration from when you Alt-Tab on a Windows computer. So the black outline here indicates that once you stop Alt-Tabbing, you will be taken back to the music app. Then Discord is the other open application. The mobile sketches are heavily based off of an iPhone, which is what I have. However, I did add some Android influences that I like. For example, the login buttons, like a little sidey puzzle. And then I added a search button at the bottom because one thing I don't like about the iPhone is you do have to scroll all the way to the left, I believe it is, to find that. And then I have a music app here. Once again, I'm not sure if it's going to be the original OS's music app or Spotify. And then between apps, I don't like the way the iPhone has their little transition screen because I find it annoying to have to scroll through everything. So I feel like laying them out, kind of like how the app icons are, is a lot easier to find where you want to go. And the little circles here are meant to be like, you can X out of them if you don't want them open anymore. The tablet screens are very similar to the mobile screens, except they're wider. Pretty much the same thing, except widened out. The console is where things are kind of unique here. I took a lot of inspiration from PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. The loading screen is just the logo. Logged in is very influenced by the Nintendo Switch. App icons are big squares on the center of the page. You have your little user profile up here, and then a search button here, and then the time. And then at the bottom are little setting icons, and then you can scroll down to see more information about the application that you have selected. Over here is a very rough layout for the music app. I looked at Spotify's layout on PlayStation for inspiration for this. It'll look totally different whenever I actually have colors in mind, but this is just a basic concept. It's more for me just to know where different elements go. And then this is the part where feedback would be appreciated. The transition between the two apps. I was looking at the Switch for this screen because I know whenever you return to the home screen while you're in an app on the Switch, it kind of has the app that you're in sort of outlined and it's very obvious that you're on it, but I don't really know if there's a specific screen where you're transitioning between those two apps. And then I also started adding color to the desktop version. So originally in my Google Doc, I had the colors that are in the logged in screen, but I found that visibility was an issue, so I tried darkening them on the pre-login screen, and I might end up going with this just because I feel like it's much easier to see the different boxes and letters that are on that screen. I just feel like this was too light to see. But other than that, that's all I currently have at the moment, and my next step is to just finish fleshing out all of these screens in Photoshop so that when I transfer it over into Adobe XD, I have a better idea of how everything is specifically going to look. Today is April 10th, and I'm currently working on the complete desktop screens. I have my mock-up finished in Adobe Photoshop. Originally, I was going with that orange to yellow gradient, but I did switch it out for an orange to a bluish purple, like a sunset. I think it looks a lot better. I added some icons here just to get a basic idea of which ones I would add once I put it into XD. I have a music app all set up, kind of based off of Apple Music a little bit. And then I also changed the between applications. I made sure that whatever screen is open has a white box around it. And then I also added a little black low opacity box to make it stand out more against the background color. And I did start building it in XD as well. I did make a few adjustments already just from class critiques and discussions. I changed these low opacity blocks to a black just because I feel like my white icons stand out more against it. I'm also starting to build my music app. I also plan to include more of the OS specific icons, like for the music app, for a mail app, and all that. Originally, I was going to go, like, I would build all of my mockups in Photoshop and then I would do all of them in XD at once, but I feel like building it and fleshing just the desktop version out before going to any of the other devices is going to help me really get an idea of what I want everything to look like. It gives me a good foundation, and I'm more comfortable with that workflow instead. It feels a lot less overwhelming than it did, but anyway, that is what I have as of today. Today is April 18th, and so far I have my mockups for the desktop layouts and mobile layouts completely finished. As I finished each screen, I went over to XD and completed them because I thought it was a lot less overwhelming to do it this way instead of doing them all at once. So here we have the desktop and then the mobile, and then we have the fully built ones here in XD. And as you can see, I had some color adjustments that I took from critiques. I added some photos. I also added app icons. So if we want to see the desktop, we can log in using this button here, and that'll take you to the home screen. If you click on the music icon, it'll take you to the music app. And to see all the applications that you have open, you can use this button or you can use tab. One of the issues I ran into when I was testing it on a mobile device is that there are no keyboard options, so I think having this button here would be a good way to get around that. And here it is, and then you can go back either by pressing tab or this button here. I'll press tab, and here we are. So mobile, I couldn't figure out a way to get a slide puzzle, kind of like how Androids have, but you can press the center button here and it'll take you to the home screen. Once again, I have a music app built in. It's very similar to the desktop, but condensed. And then I wanted it so you could drag the little bar at the bottom upwards, but I couldn't figure out how to get that to work on XD. So for now, I just have it registered as a tap, and that'll bring you back to the home. And then once again, I also have it so you can either click the little hamburger or tab to get to the apps open, and then you can go back. And that's all I have so far. I'm not sure if I plan on adjusting any more colors. I'm not sure how I feel about the icons yet, but eventually I will figure that out. But so far, my main issues just seem to be color and how people interact with those colors. Today is April 22nd, and I'm finishing everything on XD today. I have all the flows created and all the screens. I just have to add all the icons and I have to prototype it. But everything in Photoshop is complete, all of the mock-ups and the sketches, so now it's just a matter of getting these over into XD and looking finished. So, relatively short video diary today, but I'm really in the stretch right now, home stretch, and I just need to get everything sorted into the tablet and console screens, but desktop and mobile are completely finished and prototyped. I tested them, and they're ready to go. First, log in and go to the home screen. Now open up the music app. Look at all the applications open. Go back to the music app. Now return to the home screen. Log into the console. Open Fortnite. Go back to the home screen. Now look at all your open applications. Then go back to the home screen. First, log into the device. Go to the music app. Now go back to the home screen. Now look at all the apps you have open. Now go back to the home screen. First, log into the tablet. View all the applications you have open. Go back to the home screen. Now open the music app. So this is my operating system, Phoenix. Phoenix is made primarily for gamers. However, I feel like it can be enjoyed by even the most casual gamers, even mobile gamers as well. So first of all, we have the desktop. The desktop is heavily based off of a Windows gaming PC with some Mac elements thrown in there, because I feel like Mac has some interface elements that are just more successful than Windows. So we have a little login, password, bar, and then we have a power button, and then we have the ability to switch users right here, but we're going to log in through the little arrow icon, and that'll bring you to the home screen. So we have settings up here, and then a search bar, volume, Wi-Fi, and then date and time. We have the logo thrown up in the middle here. This is just a sample. I would imagine that any background could be used, but this is just for this demo. We have Google Chrome, Discord, Creative Cloud, Steam, and then these three apps are specifically for the OS. It's a music, a mail, and then a file explorer app. So we're going to go into the music app. It's specifically designed for the OS. It's based a lot off of Apple Music because I really do love the interface. I think it's super clean, easy to navigate. However, it's a little more simplistic. I know that Apple Music has like a radio section, but we just have the library full of recently played artists, albums, songs, and genres. If we want to see all the apps that we have open on the computer, we can either press this little hamburger icon right here, or we can press tab. I'm going to press tab. And this is based off of how Windows alt-tabbing works. You can see which one you have selected through the border, and you could switch back and forth to determine which one you select. So let's go back to Phoenix Music. And then finally, we can close out using the X up here. Now moving on to mobile. I based this off of the little Android slide puzzles. However, I couldn't get a slide puzzle to work on XD, so we're just going to have to settle with clicking on the middle circle right here, and that'll bring you to the home screen. We have Wi-Fi, time, and battery. And then we have 6 icons that are made specifically for the OS, and then the rest of them are apps that I think you'd find on someone who uses this OS's phone. We have Discord and Twitch, which are gaming apps, and then we have 3 actual games. So if we go to the music app, it's basically the desktop version, however condensed to a mobile device. And then we can go back to the home screen using this. I wanted it to be like the iPhone where you can slide up, but I couldn't get that to work, so we can just tap to go back. And then again, we have the hamburger icon to see all the apps we have open. I strayed away from iOS just because I don't like the way that iOS shows how many applications you have open, because you kind of have to scroll through them and kind of swipe to get rid of them. I think it would be more convenient to have like multiple pages where you can see exactly what you have open, and then you can just X out whatever you don't want to be using anymore. So we can go back to the home screen, and that's the mobile screens. Moving on to the tablet, very similar to the mobile, however just wide and big enough to fit on an iPad. We can log in through clicking the center button. We have Wi-Fi, time, and battery again. Same apps. We have music, however it's horizontal and wide enough to be on an iPad screen. We can go back to the main menu, and then we also have the hamburger icon here to take us to whatever apps we have open. And again, we just have little X's instead of it being lined up on top of each other like iOS does. And then we have another search bar at the bottom. I also forgot to mention that, but it is on the mobile screens too. Finally, we have console. This is the most unique of all of the devices, just because I took inspiration from the Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and PS4, because I feel like they are successful in their user interfaces. So we can click to log in. We have all the apps that we have here. So we have Fortnite, Cyberpunk, Discord, and Twitch. We have a user at the top, search bar, Wi-Fi, and time. And then at the bottom here, we have home. It's 100% opacity because we're currently on that screen. Friends, a shop, videos and photos that you can take through the console, an option to live stream through the console, settings, and then the power button. So if we opened Fortnite, I took a lot of inspiration from how Xbox kind of opens up their games. Sort of. I feel like it's a neat idea to have a little like description of the application. You also have an option to go in and play, but we're going to go back to the home screen, and then I have the hamburger icon up here. So this was the screen I had the most trouble with. I decided to go with, it has a little lineup of the apps you have open, and you can select whatever app you want, and for instance, Fortnite is selected here, and you can tell because it's larger and it has a white border. And then I wasn't able to do this through XD, but you would be able to close this app by pressing minus on the controller. And that is Phoenix OS.